In our last video, we talked about why you keep quitting. We explored the neuroscience of motivation and how the brain responds when things get difficult. But for some of you, different kind of discomfort surfaced. You weren't thinking, I can't stick to anything. You were thinking, what if sticking isn't my problem at all? What if your problem is the opposite? What if you want to stick to too many things? You look at your life and you don't see a single clear path. You see 10. And the frustrating part is this. Every one of them feels real. Every one of them feels. Like you're not afraid of effort. You're not running from hard work. You're frozen by choice. There's a sentence that perfectly captures this feeling. I could do anything if I only knew what it was. And if you've lived with that sentence in your head long enough, it starts to feel like a curse. Society has a label for you too. They call you a dilettante, a jack of all trades, master of none. And that label carries weight. It turns curiosity into guilt. It turns excitement into anxiety. It makes you feel like your greatest strength is secretly your biggest career flaw. Today, we're going to dismantle that anxiety, not with motivation, not with vague advice, but by giving your mind something it's been missing. A map. To understand why you feel so conflicted, we have to start with the world that created our career advice. For most of the last century, success followed predictable rules. The environment was stable. The feedback was clear. The path was linear. Psychologists call this a kind learning environment in a kind world. Specialization wins. You go deep. You repeat the same skills. You are rewarded for mastery in a narrow lane. This is the world of the I-shaped person. 1. Deep pillar of expertise. It's one clear professional identity. And for a long time, it's worked beautifully. But look around. This is not a kind world anymore. We live in what psychologists call a wicked environment. The rules change. Feedback is delayed. Patterns only become obvious in hindsight. Think about the difference between a golfer and a firefighter. A golfer operates in a kind environment. Same rules, same field, immediate feedback. A firefighter works in a wicked one. Every situation is different. Old solutions don't always apply. In a wicked world, pure specialization can create blind spots. Now, let's be clear about something. This is not an attack on specialists. We need deep experts. Their knowledge is essential. The problem isn't specialization itself. The problem is when specialization is treated as the only valid path. When one standard is used to measure every kind of mind, that's when people like you start feeling broken. For being exactly who you are, to build a career that fits your brain, you have to stop thinking in job titles and start thinking in shapes. We've already met the I-shaped specialist. At the other extreme is the dash-shaped person. It's a mile wide and an inch deep. This is where many curious people get stuck. They know a little about everything, but never build enough depth to feel stable. That lack of foundation creates anxiety. It feels like standing on sand, but there is another shape. The shape your mind has. It's been quietly reaching for. The M-shaped professional, also known as the polymath. An M-shaped career has multiple deep pillars, connected by a wide base of curiosity. 4. Example, one pillar might be data science. You go deep enough there to create real value. That pillar pays the bills. Another pillar might be storytelling. You go deep there too. And your horizontal bar is built from psychology, design, history, and systems thinking. Suddenly, you're not scattered. You become the person who can translate complex data into stories that executives actually understand. That combination is rare. That combination is valuable. The engine behind this value is something called far transfer. A specialist relies on near transfer, applying a skill to a very similar problem. A. Polymath relies on far transfer. They recognize patterns across domains. A. Person who understands musical harmony might see better structure in software architecture. Someone who studies medieval cathedrals might design more intuitive digital systems. They don't just see the notes. They hear the music and all those random interests you've collected over the years. They aren't distractions. They're your library of metaphors. They're what allow you to see connections other people miss, but this path requires a different strategy. The first rule is serial mastery. You cannot build every pillar at once. Leads back to shallow depth. You must choose one pillar and commit to it for a season, not forever. It's just long enough to build real fluency. 6 months. A year. 18 months. This is where most scanners get stuck, because choosing feels permanent. So let's lower the stakes. You're not choosing your entire future. You're choosing your next chapter. A good first pillar is often the one that creates stability, or the one that currently has the most energy. Pick one. Pour your focus into it. Build depth until you can solve most common problems without constantly starting from zero. That's mastery for now. And when your curiosity feels satisfied, you make a conscious choice. This is not quitting out of fear. This is strategic quitting. It's graduation. You're not running away from difficulty. You're deliberately moving on to build the next pillar. Many polymaths make another smart move here. They use a stable day. His job as a strategic asset. Einstein did this as a patent clerk. The job wasn't his identity. It was his foundation. A low drain. Job provides mental surplus, and surplus is what fuels exploration. A high-stress passion job may sound exciting, but if it consumes 110% of you, there's nothing left for curiosity. The final piece is a system, because let's be honest, your mind generates more ideas than it can possibly hold. If everything stays in your head, overwhelm is inevitable. This is why polymaths externalize their thinking. Niklas Luhmann, who published over 70 books, used a system called a Z-Telkasten. 1. Idea per note. Linked over time, your fleeting interests don't disappear. They wait, and one day, they connect. So let's put this together. You are not a dabbler who lacks focus. You are a scanner, a potential poem. Your mind was never designed for a single narrow lane. It was designed to build bridges between worlds. This path takes patience. It takes structure. But once you have a map, the self-blame fades. In its place is quiet confidence. Pick your first pillar. Build it deeply. Use stability as support, not a cage. And capture your ideas instead of carrying them. You were never meant to be just one thing. You were meant to see how everything connects. And in the next video, we'll talk about how to turn this M-shaped life into a long-term sustainable career. I'll see you there.